What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Crypto. This is officially episode 33. Today we're going to be, of course, talking about a bunch of different stuff. We're going to be going over Bitcoin's current prices, some news. It's been kind of a slow week, so we'll go over some of the news that came out over the last week since we last saw you guys. And of course, we will be doing the market analysis and the Q&A at the end of that. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we cover in today's live stream, or if you just have any general questions, just post it in the comments. We'll be happy to get to them at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's jump in first with the economic calendar to see exactly what it is that we have coming up this week. And then we're going to be talking about Bitcoin's price and all of that. So let's go ahead and get started. Sorry, I'm like trying to get things together. For some reason, they're not popping up like they should be right now. So let's just start with the Bitcoin price here. So currently we're sitting at 35,521. So we're looking right now at the daily chart here, and you can see that we got a pop to the upside today. We were as low as 34,523 earlier today, and then we've gone up as high as 35,623. So a pretty big difference, over $1,000, over a $1,000 jump there just today. So the volatility is real today in Bitcoin. I've been looking around the news. I haven't seen any reason for prices to go either up or down. So I'm not sure why we've seen this volatility today. But it's just part of crypto. So that's how it goes here. So let's see what the rest of the market is doing here. Let's go ahead and open up CoinMarketCap here. And we could see, let's take a look over the last 7 days, what's been going on. You can see Bitcoin is up about 2.5%. We have Ethereum up over 4.5%. So, Ethereum is now starting to catch up. If you guys remember, over the last few weeks, Bitcoin's been the main mover, right? It's been the one doing all the moving. And Ethereum hasn't really moved too much. So now Ethereum is starting to outperform, and that has to do with the cash flow and the money flow in the crypto market. We've spoken about it before, but the way that the money flow works usually is money first flows into Bitcoin. As Bitcoin goes up, people take those profits and put it into Ethereum. Then Ethereum starts to go up. People take those profits and start putting it into other big caps like BNB, XRP, Solana, Cardano, Doge, etc. Right? And then those tend to go up, and then from there they put it into smaller cap coins, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what we're seeing here over the last few weeks, and over the last week, really, we see Ethereum starting to outperform Bitcoin here. Now, other cryptos that have been moving, we have XRP up to about 68 cents. It's up 14, almost 15% in the last week. We have Solana also up 20% here at $44, guys. Solana has been moving. It's gone up over 100% in the last few weeks, I believe. So it has definitely been one of the biggest movers here. Definitely the biggest mover, I think, in the top 10. Then we have Cardano up 20% as well over the last 7 days, currently sitting at 35 cents. Further down, we have Toncoin up 14.5% at 253 right now. We have Chainlink finally got a breakout. Chainlink up over 15%, and it's up close to 100% as well over the last month or so. We have Matic up 14.5%. And from the top 25, those are the ones that stand out the most. We have Avalanche here up 14% as well. So Avalanche is a little behind, but I'm sure it will definitely catch up as well. So let's take a look at the top gainers and losers. Let's put this to top 100. And we can see the top gainer right now is PancakeSwap. Up over 77%, and part of the reason for that is because Binance made a strategic investment, and they've added some stuff over to on the Binance side, so you can trade perpetual. They Cake perpetual contracts. They've also added Cake has also added a new feature, but if you know about Pancake Swap and the way that it's built, they have unlimited supply basically. So I'm not really a big fan of Pancake Swap. Probably won't be grabbing any. We have Trust Wallet here up 67%. Multiverse X up 44%. WeMix up 40%. And Neo up 39%. The top losers over the last week are Maker down 5%, Monero down 3.5%, White Bitcoin down 1.4%, Pax Gold down 1.3%, and Tether Gold down 1.1%. So really not a lot of losers. Almost everything is up over the last week. So let's take a look now here at the economic calendar. And you can see the main things will be tomorrow and Thursday. There's really not too much going on. But what we will have is the Fed chair, Jerome Powell. It will be speaking tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. and then once again on Thursday at 3 p.m. So the reason that these could be important is because if he provides any type of insight on what the Fed is going to do going forward, as far as raise interest rates, pause them, continue to keep them paused, or cut them, that could impact the market. So that's something to keep in mind there over the next 2 days in case we do see any volatility. It might be because of the speech, if he gives any insight. Other than that, we really have nothing else going on this week that could really impact markets like that we know of. Next week, I believe, in exactly a week from now, next Tuesday, November 14th, we have the inflation reports coming out once again. And then then after that, we're pretty much not too much coming out for the rest of the month, probably until the Fed interest rate decision again in December. I believe it's the 13th of December. And during that same week, I believe we'll also have another inflation report. So that'll be a interesting week to say the least. But yeah, not too much else. Not really much going on this week. Next week we have inflation reports, and then everything else could somewhat impact markets, but usually those events are non-events overall. So we don't really put too much attention on them. So that's kind of what we have. What we're looking at there. Looking at the target rate probabilities for the next interest rate meeting. It's most likely going to be another pause. We can see 90% probability of another pause. There is a 9.8% probability of a final rate hike. So that's something to watch there. And if we continue looking, you can see that in January, expected to be paused again. In March, still expecting pauses. In May is when we have the probabilities are pretty much the markets think that this is when we might see the first rate cut. So that'll be in May. And then you can see in June, they definitely believe that there'll be rate cuts at that point. So May, June for rate cuts is the possibility. Again, this is just, what the markets think. So this doesn't really, all this could change at any given time. But it's just interesting with everything else that's going to be happening around this point in time, right? We have the Bitcoin halving also happening in March, April, May time period. And there's just so much going on at that point. So basically, it's setting itself up for the perfect storm for Bitcoin to go up during this time in 2024. So very excited for that. Also, we can't forget the Bitcoin spot ETFs. It should be coming, I think, before the 2024, but if not in 2024 for sure, that's going to be happening. We have presidential elections. Bitcoin usually does well during those times. So there's a lot of things that are going to be coming in 2024 that we're very excited about, that could really act as a catalyst for the price of Bitcoin and for the crypto markets that could send us into a new bull run, a new bull cycle, and into new all-time highs where we get to just print a bunch of money, basically, right? So let's go ahead and let's go over the news. There really wasn't too much news over the last week. The main thing that came out was SBF Sam Bankman-Fried was finally found guilty on all charges. Now, we spoke about this at length already over the last few months, and we're just happy that justice will finally be served here. And it's tough, but because I don't like to wish bad things onto anybody, but when you do something as bad as this man has done, man, like you gotta serve, you gotta pay the price for what you've done, right? So it's wild, man, and it's should he serve 110 years? Now that's a lot, right? Should he basically for the rest of his life should he serve that? I doubt he'll serve 110 years. I'm sure he'll be able to come out at some point after maybe 20 years or so. But yeah, man, it's a tough one. Just thinking about it from the standpoint that this kid, because he's a young kid, is gonna spend pretty much the rest of his life in jail because he got caught up in this scam, in this fraud, right? He thought he could outsmart everybody else and get away with it, and that just didn't happen. So yeah, I mean, you gotta pay the price for your actions. Basically, what it comes down to. I don't like to wish anything bad on anyone, but this guy, he has to pay the price for what he did, right? So so now they haven't sentenced him yet, but he's facing up to 110 years in prison. And sentencing will be done, I believe, soon. I'm not 100% sure when. Let me see if it says it anywhere here, but I believe in the next month or so, maybe. Let's see. I don't see it mentioned anywhere here, but at some point they're gonna do the sentencing, and the expectation is up to more than 110 years. So that's pretty crazy. Other people that are paying the price for crimes that they committed. The U.S. government arrests founders of SafeMoon crypto token. So if anybody was around, probably 2021. Yeah, probably 2021. SafeMoon was a very, very popular token at that time, and now we see why. These guys were definitely also committing fraud. Basically, we see here that the names of them. Let's see, the Department of Justice executing. According to official release from the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Eastern District of New York, the executives have been charged in a multi-million-dollar international fraud scheme. That's pretty crazy. So, and that was to all their to the founders and the CEO and CTOs. So the crazy part is that I met some of them at one of those crypto events. So, and I had asked about it, and they're like, oh no, we're legit, etc., etc. And we kind of knew the whole time that these guys were not legit, right? I never put any money in this, yeah, you can see already. This is they used. It says the founders used the funds to purchase luxury vehicles, real estate, and personal investments. So yeah, they're charged with conspiracy to commit securities fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and money laundering. Further role in the scheme. These are all pretty serious charges there. So SafeMoon crypto tokens, founders of it have been arrested. So I think it's time to dive into a Bitcoin analysis here. Now that we've covered the news, covered the overall market, and the economic calendar. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we're covering, remember you can ask us the questions in the comments section. I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Let me say what's up to the people that are watching right now. I see Giannis in here. How you doing, Giannis? I see Piyush. I don't know how to say your name. Singh. How you doing? Appreciate you joining in. I don't know what you said, but hello. Hopefully that's what you're saying. So let's go ahead and jump into this analysis here. So as you guys know, on Mondays, I do a weekly market analysis and complete breakdown, complete market report in my Discord group. So I'll be reading over some of the of that analysis that I did there, so that we can so you can have an idea basically on what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and let's start. Let me see. Let's start. We already spoke about the economic calendar. Let's start with the DXY. So the DXY is $1, and as you can see, we spoke about this. We've spoken about this a bit, but let me get the brush here, and you can see that the DXY has been basically trading in this range here for a while, and then we had this deviation to the downside before moving up, and now we've had this deviation to the upside above the range. So similar to the deviation to the downside below the range, we thought that this might be kind of a similar setup with how everything is going in the economy, and with interest rates pausing and potential rate cuts coming soon. It looked like the same setup basically, where there's going to be a deviation to the upside, and then a potential downtrend where we retest this bottom support here. So that's kind of what we've been watching here, and it looks like it's starting to play out a bit. Now the reason why we look at the DXY and why it's important is because it's directly related not only to Bitcoin, but basically the majority of cryptos and majority of assets, since they trade directly against the USD, the US dollar currency. So the DXY is the US dollar currency. If the value of the US dollar currency goes down, then the value of everything that it trades against goes up. So that's why it's important to kind of know where it is and what it's doing, because that could help you overall try to decide on what you want to do and how you want to position yourself in the market as well. So so that's pretty much what we've been looking at there with the DXY. And here now let's go ahead and now take a look at Bitcoin. Let's start with the monthly. I always like to start from the top and do what's known as a top-down analysis. So as you guys can see here, currently sitting at 35,400, and basically we're at a resistance zone here. This green box here is a resistance, as you guys can see. This has been it was a major resistance here. It played a major support here for 3 months. Then it played another major support here for 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 5 months until we lost that point. And once we lost this big area here, guess what price did? We rocketed down basically, right? We lost 37% in 1 month after we lost this support, which just goes you to show how important this level here is. And that's exactly the level that we're in right now. So that's why it's important to know that, right? That's why it's important to look back in history and see what price has done historically at this same exact level. It lets us know how important this level is. So that tells us this level is very, very important here. And if we break through this level, we could potentially start going higher towards the $40,000 range. I think the next big resistance here is probably 42,000 after we break out of this green box here. This green box is between $35,000 to about $38,000. After we break out above this resistance here, I believe we can easily move up to $40,000 and $42,000. Now, why 42 specifically? Again, all I do is look back in history. I'm not an oracle. I don't tell the future, right? I'm just looking back. 42,000 was actually an all-time high at one point here. So you can see here during this candle back in January of 2021, we hit an all-time high at $42,000, right? So then it became a big deal, right? That number became a big deal. And now it's always going to play as a main area. And you could just kind of look at price here, what it's done. This is 42,000, right? And if we look here at $42,000, we can see how it's played a role here. It played a role here as a resistance. Then it played another role here as support. Again, support. Again, support. When we lost it, it was resistance. When we gained it back, it was support. When we lost it, you can see how far we dropped after losing that. Then we had basically 3 massive red candles of a loss of 17%, 15%, and 37% there, back to back to back. So that's why it tells us, that shows us that those are big numbers that we need to take account for and that we need to be paying attention to. So that's why we look at levels like that. So for now, the main level that we're watching is here, this green box, $35,000. I'm still in the thought and the idea that we need to retrace a bit here at some point, right? We can't just continue going up. You can see on the weekly, we're starting to get into the oversold territory. We have this nice trend that we've been building here since we hit this bottom over here. But we probably have to retrace to this trend at some point. Now, $30,000 is probably the level that I'm looking at for a pullback. This is the weekly chart that we're looking at here. So I don't think we're gonna do that $30,000 this week. So potentially in the next few weeks, so potentially by the end of December, right? That's when it looks like the trend line here meets this $30,000 area, which also will be met with the 200 weekly and potentially the 50 weekly moving averages. They could potentially be in that range as well by the time December rolls around. So that's gonna be a level to just kind of watch there. If we do get a pullback over the next month or so, $30,000 is a big level I'm watching. Now, other than 30,000, before 30,000, 32 is a big level there. It's played historically as a big number as well for us. So that's the first number that I'm pretty much watching. After that, then 32 is the next number I'm watching. If we look at the daily time frame here, you can see this right here. This is the 50-day, you can see 50, the 50-day moving average. So why is the 50-day moving average important? Bitcoin likes to use the 50-day as a support and resistance. So you can see it here used as support. Then you can see it here used as resistance, right? So where is it at right now? It's currently sitting at about $31,000, close to this support here, which is 30,800, right? $30,800. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback back to the 50-day moving average. That'll be interesting to see here. Now, another thing to note, now that we're talking about the 50-day moving average, is this right here, and I actually have a video on this coming out this week. So you might not see it there, but this right here, that is a golden cross, ladies and gentlemen. A golden cross. Now, I think I have another chart here. Let me see. Let me see if I have another chart. All right, this chart, yeah. So taking a look at this what's circled is the golden cross. So taking a look at this is another golden cross. This is a second golden cross that we have gotten during this bear market. Now, why are the golden crosses important? Not only why are the golden crosses important, but why is it important that we got 2 golden crosses here during this bear market? Well, let's look back in history. If you notice here at the top, we got 2 death crosses. If you notice here at the bottom, we got two golden crosses here. And now I know we have a third one here, but we had this outlier event, a black swan event, when we got the pandemic. So if you take that massive dropout, we would only have two golden crosses here at the bottom of the previous bull market. If we keep looking back, in 2015, before the new all-time highs, when we went into a bull market in 2017, we had two golden crosses that launched us into that bull market. And I think that's as far as the golden crosses go. And then up here we have two death crosses. So it's a pattern, right? We have two death crosses. Then then we went into bear market, two golden crosses into bull market. We only got one death cross here. Here we got another, again, two golden crosses, bull market, two death crosses, bear market, and now we got two golden crosses. So what does that tell us? This is probably the time that it's probably another signal that we're going back into the bull market. So and it sets up, it's in line with everything else for 2024, right? 2024, we have the Bitcoin halving, we have potential interest rate cuts, we have the Bitcoin spot ETFs. We have so many things, right? We have just so many things that are going to be going on in 2024, 2025. And now, to add on top of all that, we have double golden crosses here that basically is marking the beginning of that next bull run. Now, I drew out some ideas here, pretty much using the averages of what Bitcoin's price does historically through the first 90 days, the first 180 days, and the first year, 365 days, right? So on average, the first 90 days, Bitcoin's price after a golden cross sees a move of about 32%. If we add that on to when the golden cross happened here, that would put Bitcoin's price at about $45,000 over the next 90 days. That would be towards the end of January. Could we see Bitcoin's price at $45,000 by the end of January? I think that is a realistic probability and scenario where we pump, especially in December, January, and we can potentially run up to that $45,000 area, where that's literally only $10,000 away. So that's not that big of a leap to say that we wouldn't be able to do that in the next 3 months. Now let's look at the 180 days. On average, through 180 days, through 6 months, Bitcoin's price historically went up about 74%. So that would put Bitcoin's price at about $58,000. Let's say $58,000 to $60,000, right? And that would be by April of 2024. So by April of 2024, could we see Bitcoin sitting back and retesting back that $60,000 range? Is that something that's realistic? I definitely believe so. I think that we could be in that $50,000 range. Maybe we wouldn't push beyond 60 yet, because a main rally, it comes on the back of the Bitcoin halving, and we have the Bitcoin halving countdown. Let's see the date on that. The date on that is May 4th. So right in that same time, right? During that same time, could Bitcoin be rallying and going up to $58,000? I think that's realistic as well. I think that's definitely a probability in a scenario that could happen. And then finally, the last one. Now the last one is a bit of a push, because when Bitcoin was a lot cheaper, it was a lot easier for it to move a crazy amount, right? Now historically, and this what I have, the way I have it set up here is not the historical numbers, just because it was unrealistic, right? But let me pull up the historical numbers here for it. Historically, after a year, a year after the golden cross, Bitcoin is up on average 796%. Now you can see why I didn't put it at 796%, because now at that point, that's unrealistic in 1 year to me. 796, that would put Bitcoin at $300,000. So now the same way we looked at the others and thought, is that realistic? Is that, a realistic scenario? I think in the next year, could we be at $300,000? I don't think so. That's such a massive, massive leap at Bitcoin's current price, right? But what if we said, okay, it won't go to 300,000, but what about 1/3 of that? That would put us at what, 200%? And 200% is $100,000. Now, does that seem more realistic to you in the next 365 days that by this time next year, Bitcoin could potentially be setting a new all-time high towards that $100,000 mark? I think that could be, there's a higher probability of that than, it going up to $300,000. Now, I still don't think that will be at 100,000, but I think we'll definitely be at new all-time highs. So if we're at new all-time highs, we're talking about a price beyond $69,000. So we'll be at least between $70,000 to $80,000 at that point, right? I think that's definitely a possibility, right? I can't say what the probability is for that scenario to actually happen a year from now, but I think it's a good probability. There's a good percentage that we could potentially a year from now be looking at Bitcoin's price doubled of where we currently are right now. That I do believe that is a possible scenario for us to see. So now that we've kind of taken that into account, let's kind of move back. I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, and I'm gonna do a video on this as well. I'm gonna do a video. I'll have a video coming out this week on this pattern, the Bitcoin double golden cross, where I kind of go into depth on this a little bit more. And then I'm going to do a video on everything that you need to know about the Bitcoin halving event and its history, based on, what price has done historically and what we could potentially expect to see this time around historically for Bitcoin's price as well. And then at that point, I'll be able to give some predictions on where, I'm not gonna say more accurate predictions, but more educated guesses on where Bitcoin's price could potentially be by the time pre-halving or leading up to the halving, then post-halving, and then, the year after the halving as well, that are usually all very, very bullish times for Bitcoin. So we're definitely going to go through all of that in the upcoming videos. This should be in the next 2 weeks. This week we'll have the double golden cross video, and then next week I'll work on the halving, Bitcoin halving video, so I can have that up for you guys as well. But going back to where we are right now, right? That's a lot further along. But I just wanted to I said all that to point out that we have a golden cross. Now, as you guys know, and we've covered it in videos before, golden cross is a 50-50 hit rate. So, like we saw a golden cross here, and then price went back down, and then, we saw a death cross again. However, the double golden cross has always hit and has a 100% hit rate. So that's why we like talking about that. Now, let's talk about trading, right? My plan for this week, trading, I'm pretty much, and let me go over to my market report where I put my plans. Based on the analysis that I did this week, the trade plan will be the same as my trade plan last week until something changes, right? We're looking to short at the top of the range, which we currently are. We're at the top of our current range. The bottom of our range is somewhere around $30,000, maybe a little bit higher. It could be at $32,000. But right now, there's no reason to be longing this up here. There's zero reason to long this because we're just at a lot of resistance up here. So the highest probability setup right now is to the downside, is for a potential correction or pullback, and again, you don't have to short expecting it to drop to 30,000. You take profits in between. So if we take a look at the trades that we took last week, and you pull these up on the screen here. Let me just put this here. Whoops. So these are the trades that we took last week. And again, we're not looking to take every single trade that there is. We're looking for the highest probability setups that we can take here. So if you look at the dates here, these are the dates here. On the first, we took a short at 35,000. We wrote it down all the way to $34,000 for a gain of $285. It was 29% profit if you use 10x leverage like us. Then the next day we took another short, basically at the same price at 35,250, so a little bit higher, but we ended up stopping out at 35,750. So this one was a loss. We stopped out there because we got this massive move to the upside here. I think it was this one, yeah. So we had a move all the way up to 36,098. So that ended up stopping us out. However, we went right back in. You can see the same day, right back in, because price again at that same day. Look at this candle. It went all the way up to as high as $36,000, and as low as 34,315. So we jumped right back in the trade. We took that trade, and we were able to get a winner. So even though we lost this trade for we lost $141 or 14%. The same day we took the same trade again. This time at 35,000, took profit at 34,500, another win. We made $142 on that. We basically got back exactly what we had lost. And then we took the same exact trade again, 35,000 down to 34,500, another win for another $142 or 14%. So if we take a look at the summary here, how what we've been doing this year. And this is basically just keeping track of all the trades that we've been taking this year. If you would have started with $10,000 starting capital, this is what the results are based off, just to kind of keep things as simple as possible, right? So total trades that we've taken this year are 82 trades. So it's been a slow year, guys. We're not looking to take every trade, right? We're not looking for quantity. We're looking for quality. So we've taken 82 trades over the course of 2023. For 111% profit year to date. So if you were starting with $10,000, more or less this would be the profit if you took every single trade the way that we did, right? So that is 56 winning trades, 26 losing trades. So that gives us a win rate of 68.29%. All right, and then here it breaks everything down a little bit further. Right, the average TP that our first target is hit is 68%. Then when you go further down, the average that TP2 is hit is 46%, and then TP3 is about 30%. So that kind of gives you a breakdown at how our targets are hit, and how we're playing it. That's why we're looking for these high probability setups, and that's why here we've just been shorting basically at this point in time. Here we don't see any reason to long right now unless we break out of this box, out of this green box. So as long as we're here, we're probably only going to be looking for shorts. And you can see when you look at our trade history, basically that's all we've been doing here. We've been only taking shorts, even though Bitcoin has been going up, but we've been taking shorts for the most part because we've been so high. Now, of course, we've missed out on some because price broke out. But we've won 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've lost 3. So we're 4-3 over the last month or so. if you take into account, and this is just considering the shorts that we've been taking here, if you take into account the rest of the month here, you can see that we were on the win streak here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. Then we had 2 losses, and then we won 1, lost 1, and won 2. So we're just looking for that those high probability setups, trying to take advantage of those, trying to play these main support and resistance areas, trying to figure out the trading ranges and play those ranges. Now, another thing that we look at here when trading and when looking for targets, when looking for potentially opening, closing positions, is liquidity pools, right? Because price loves to go to these liquidity pools. So this is something that we're always looking at. You can see the bright yellow areas. This is a heat map. So the brighter it is, the more liquidations that there are in that area. So you can see here at $35,950, there's a massive liquidation area there. So it's possible for the price to come up here, liquidate those positions, and then drop back down, right? And you can see towards the bottom, there's big liquidation levels at 34,125. So same scenario, right? Maybe price goes up here, liquidates all these people, then drops down, liquidates these. Price loves to liquidate people. So market makers love to liquidate people. So that's why we're always watching those levels, and it kind of gives us an idea of where price could go next. So that's something to always kind of keep in mind. And there's different time frames that you can look at it. Right now, we're looking at the 12-hour time frame. So that's the most immediate liquidity pulls. We can go to the 7-day. So this is a week. And over a week, this is basically the liquidity pulls that have popped up. You can see majority of liquidity is to the downside at 34,000. We do have some building up here at 36 and above, but the biggest pull right now is at 34. And then you can go also to monthly and further than that, but these tend to be a little bit slower, but they still give us an idea where there's a lot of liquidity left behind. So you can see here, this has slowly been moving. If you remember, just a month ago, all the liquidity was under 25,000. Now it's moved up to basically like $28,000. So, and I expect that the longer we stay in this range up here, I expect this liquidity pool to continue moving up. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much all I got for you guys today, as far as what I'm doing here as Bitcoin continues to move up, and potentially goes to that liquidity pool that we just spoke about. If you guys have any questions about anything that we just talked about here, drop it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to see if I have answers for you guys. I'm gonna give you guys a moment here while I drink a little bit of water and look at one of my trades. I'm looking to actually try to open up a short trade here with this push up, and I'm gonna probably put I'll probably be putting a stop loss just above 36,000. So if anyone's interested in what it is that I'm doing here right now, I'm just trying to set the trade up here. I'm setting it up on my phone. I'm not logged in on my on the computer because I got to turn on a VPN to log in and all that. But let me look at some of the comments here. I just shorted here. My entry was about 35,850 or so. I actually added to my position. I had opened a short at 35,500. So I just added to my position here. I've set my stop loss above 36, above this high here. So the high here is $36,098. I'm setting my stop losses above that. Now, how am I looking for my stop loss? I'm looking at the liquidation pulls here as well. You can see that around 36,150 is that the biggest one to the upside. I want to say the biggest liquidation pull there to the upside. So that's a potential area to place my stop loss above. Let me look at the shorter term here as well once more. And again, you can see a lot of liquidity here at 39,925. So I'm not surprised if we hit this right here and drop down. So I'm kind of playing it based on that we're at a resistance and based on this liquidity pull that I'm seeing right here right now. So you can, let me pull up the chart real quick. And here we go. We're hitting those liquidity pulls right now as we speak. Now, what I want to see here is for the price to start pulling back, back towards $35,000. That would be lovely for these trades here. So we'll be watching this here. If it breaks above $36,000, then we'll just end up closing out our trade, and then kind of reevaluating at that point in time. So I'm gonna answer some of the questions I see here in the comments. Giannis says, in daily Bitcoin time frame, I think we have a divergence with RSI. Probably we will have a correction soon. Yes, Giannis, you're definitely 100% correct. If you go over to the daily, and I actually did speak about this as well, we have this right here. You can see that this is going down. The RSI is going down. However, the issue is price is going up. When price is going up and RSI is going down, that's considered a bearish divergence. That means that price and momentum are not on the same page. There's a disagreement. There's a disconnect between the two. And these two need to always be connected, basically. So in order to reset itself, there needs to be usually a correction, where either a correction or a long, basically a consolidation period for a long point in time. You can see we just hit those the liquidation pulls we were talking about. If we let's see if this was updated. Let's see. It hasn't updated yet, so we'll look back in a few minutes. But yeah, so when there's a disagreement between these two, there's typically, it's a hint at a correction at some point. So we're expecting a pullback here soon. We've been talking about a pullback probably for the last 2 weeks. And we expect it has to pull back at some point, right? Price is not just going to keep continuing to go up. And it's also healthy overall for the technicals and for the Bitcoin's price for there to be a healthy pullback, meaning a healthy pullback is something small, right? Not anything too crazy. So as long as we get something like that, then we can set up to then at that point consolidate and set up new higher highs. We'll have the RSI and price action back in sync, and then at that point, you know, we can see price go higher in a healthy structure. So thank you for pointing that out, Giannis. Ducky Dave says, good to see another stream and good to see things finally moving up in crypto land. Yes, definitely, man. 100%. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, man. Thank you. And hopefully price continues to go up, you know. I'm very, very bullish for 2024 and 2025. So I'm very excited for what's to come here. Giannis asks, what is your favorite hardware wallet? So for my favorite, I think the Ledger Nano is probably my favorite. I have that one and I have another one. The other one, I can't even recall what it's called. I haven't used it in probably like a year or so. It was actually one that was sent to me by a company to test it out, and I didn't test it out. I didn't really look at it too much, but yeah, definitely the Ledger Nano I think is probably one of the best ones that you can get there. It's the one that I use personally, so I might be a little bit biased. But that's pretty much it, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're gonna be watching the price here to see what happens. Like I told you guys, I just took a short trade here live as Bitcoin's price popped here to the upside. So so we're watching this. We're gonna kind of wait and see what happens here on this trade. We entered around 35,850, but we already had another entry, so we kind of averaged in our position. So our average position now is about 35,650. I want to say 35,700-ish. We're setting up our stop losses above where the liquidity pulls are, so we're gonna set them above around 36,150 in that range, and then our target is probably gonna be $35,000. So that gives us a stop loss of, let's say, about $600 and a profit of about 650-ish. So it's actually a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. And whenever you're looking for trades, you want to make sure that it makes sense and that they're at least at minimum a 1-to-1 risk to reward. So this trade setup, we built it to make sure that it made sense with our stop loss beyond the liquidity pool, which needed about $600, which is why we averaged our entries in. And then it gave us, again, about a $600 profit if we reach our target, which is $35,000, which is, we believe that's we've been ranging, right, over the last few weeks. Here you can see here is 35,000. So since the 23rd, so about for 2 weeks, we've been literally ranging from $35,000 in all the way down to as low as 34,000 and then back up to 36,000. So I think that's a good scalp there. And you can see price is now, we're basically at break even right now with this trade. So hopefully it continues to go down in our favor. So thank you guys. Thank you for all the questions, everybody who tuned in. I appreciate you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any other questions, drop it in the comments. We'll be more than happy to answer them for you. That's pretty much it, guys. I'll see you on the next one. As always, peace and love.